Bank of Souls is a concept that originated from Jewish mysticism, however, it's been adapted into several other religious theories as well. According to the legend of the Bank of Souls, there is a finite amount of souls that can ever exist within human history. Specifically, this pool of souls is known as the Chamber of Guff and exists at the base of the Tree of Life. According to this legend, the Tree of Life bears fruit, and that fruit is actual human souls. There are some times when there are more people in the world than the tree can provide. According to the theory around the Bank of Souls, if someone is born or conceived at the time that there's not a soul for it, it will simply be born as a person without a soul. These soulless people, or NPCs as the internet so delicately puts it, exist on Earth along with people who do have souls, and as a matter of fact, in some cases are used specifically to test those who do have souls to judge their worth. You can follow that theory further and say that the reason you're so used to seeing people who have what is to you completely mind-numbing opinions and are constantly at opposition with you is a deliberate choice from whoever is controlling the system as a means to see how you deal with opposition.
You might be wondering if you're an NPC, so I'm going to give you 3 signs to tell whether or not you are an NPC. And for those of you that don't know, an NPC is a non-player character. If you ever play video games, they're the people that you bump into on the streets or on the side quests. Sign number 1, you're living for the weekends and you do the same thing every single weekend. If you go to the same place with the same people and you drink the same beer and you talk about the same stuff, might be an NPC. Number 2, when was the last time you learned something new? It could be a skill, it could be a fact, it could be anything, a new idea. But when was the last time you learned something new and even talked about it? A lot of people stop learning after school, so if the answer for you is that it's been years, it might be an NPC. Third sign, and maybe the most important, is how often are you complaining? Because if most of the time you're complaining and you're not looking for any solutions or trying to change your reality, it might be an NPC.
NPCs. Let's talk about them on a soul level. So NPCs, for anyone that doesn't know the term, it means non-playable character. So it's a term that's used for soulless beings who reside in the world right now. So my understanding is there's actually all different types of NPCs. Today I'm going to be talking about the Draco NPCs, which are essentially NPCs who are controlled by reptilians. So anybody that watched the video that this comment was in, it was a video that I did of Ted Bundy, and I said that Ted Bundy is a type of NPC who was controlled by the reptilians, so a Draco NPC. So NPCs are very different from souls. So you will see NPCs in your daily life, but not necessarily NPCs that are controlled by the reptilians. But when you see people out and about and they often look robotic, for example, times where I always notice NPCs is when I'm driving, and you really see them when you're out driving, and yeah, they really try to incite anger amongst you. They try to bring up negative emotions within you. So you'll see these people that are just driving like complete lunatics. You know, no manners, no humanity in them, very robotic type beings. But the Draco NPCs are a completely different breed. They are used solely for the purpose of control for the dark side. So Ted Bundy was someone who was completely controlled by the dark side, here to cause massive chaos and destruction. So they don't have the same process as what a soul has, alright? So it's a completely different process for the NPCs. So there's no way for them to get out of where they are because they're not a normal soul. They don't have a soul. They don't have a connection to source energy. So ascension, karma, things like that works completely differently for these souls. So I'll talk about the ways in which I've seen how it works with the Draco NPCs. So I believe it's to do with the transferring of consciousness technology that they allegedly have. They create, I guess, clone type human bodies where they will install the consciousness into the body, which would be the whole reptilian consciousness into the human vessel. But they're not human vessels the same way that we are human vessels. They may look human, but they are not human. One of the ways that I have seen the transferring of consciousness tech being used is through brain chips. But I do believe that there's many ways in which they do this. So essentially when these Draco type NPCs pass away in this lifetime, right? So for Ted Bundy, he was executed in this lifetime. When they pass away, it's just the consciousness then returns to the technology and then is put into another vessel. So totally different process when it comes to reincarnation. What I will say is it's very rare for me to see that. I've done many soul readings and everything on here, and Ted Bundy's was the first one that I had seen that with. However, I do believe if I look into more of these serial killer, then it's very likely something that I will see. I've not even seen it when I've looked into celebrities or anything like that, but I do believe that, you know, it's very possible that maybe some celebrities have that, though I'm not 100% sure and I haven't seen it. These Draco NPCs have no humanity in them whatsoever. So even when I look into like celebrities, even if they're possessed, they still have the humanity in them. The Draco NPCs don't. So for me, this is people who come down here and cause complete evil and destruction with no regard for humanity whatsoever. There may even be some world leaders, who knows, that are Draco NPCs. These Draco NPCs are made purely for the dark side. They are vessels that are used that are completely controlled by the dark side, and they will be used to serve agendas from the dark side as well. They are essentially kind of like robots that receive all of their instructions, all of their guidance through this consciousness that's coming directly from the reptilians. So every action that they do is completely controlled, and there's no hope for these types of beings to get out of that cycle because they were created by the Dracos. So hopefully that better explains that. As I've said, you know, it is very rare to see that. It's definitely not something that I've seen often, but it will be interesting if I look into other kind of serial killers to see if that is what they are as well. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments.
How to spot the NPCs? They are placeholders, running pre-programmed scripts. Their purpose is not to think, but to maintain the illusion of reality. Their eyes are vacant, their energy flat. You feel it before you see it. A hollowness, a presence that isn't fully there. They don't create, they don't question, they just exist. They move through life on autopilot, repeating the same conversations, the same reactions, the same empty routines. They mimic but never innovate. They consume but never produce. Their opinions are not their own. They are downloaded from the system. They will repeat mainstream narratives word for word without processing them. Challenge them and you'll see the script break. Confusion, anger, defensiveness, they are not programmed to question. They defend the system at all costs. Tell them something outside the narrative, something that breaks the illusion, and they will react, not think. Immediate dismissal, mockery, hostility. They are not here to awaken, only to police the dream. They have no true self. Their personalities shift depending on who they're around. Their interests seem artificial, like they were chosen from a preset list. They are social chameleons, adapting not out of self-awareness, but because they have no internal compass. There is nothing inside. Have you ever felt exhausted after talking to someone, like your soul was being siphoned? NPCs don't just lack energy, they take it. They exist to keep the simulation running, and they need real souls to power it. This is why they surround awakened individuals, why they find you but never truly connect. Their presence drains, distracts, derails. They steer conversations toward nothingness, keep you trapped in loops, keep you asleep. Say something that breaks the illusion. Watch their eyes. Do they register? Do they process? Or do they default to denial, anger, and pre-scripted responses? The biggest question isn't who they are, it's how many of them there are. And worse, if they even know what they are.
The abbreviation NPC stands for non-playable character, a term used in video games to refer to characters that are not controlled by the player. NPCs in video games tend to repeat canned dialogue, behave in predictable loops, and move in strange or robotic ways. The term has been adopted on TikTok and other social media platforms to refer to people in real life that might show some of these characteristics. For example, they may move or behave in predictable patterns or repeat phrases that don't have much substance.
Yo, my friend, thanks for watching all this web. Have you ever come across these NPC things? Myself, I'm finding it hard to believe or even fathom. On this All Good website, I need your help a lot on understanding the whole of this concept. But maybe I'm failing to understand because I'm one of these NPCs. Oh my god. I don't think so. Good website. Please leave your comments down below. You see? Have you ever had an encounter with them? You see? I'd like to know. Anyway, let's keep on watching more interesting stuff coming up. Maybe about the Mandela effects or even more interesting stuff. Let's watch together and leave your comments.
Mandela effect, where some people are remembering a different situation than others who shared the situation with them. And they're both right. They both have a completely different memory, aside from the fact that sometimes we just don't remember things. That's true too. But in some cases, people are very, very clear that they remember something in a certain way, and others are very clear that they remember it completely differently, and both are true, because both are representative of different parallel pasts. Yet they're still agreeing to share a common present, but have the difference of view. So they remember a different past line before they agree to create this present together.
Gen X, we have another brand new Mandela effect. And you are not going to like this one, because it comes from one of the most popular shows that we've ever watched. Here's what we know as fact. I'm going to assume that 99% of us have seen Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, and Marv. Now, most of us can quote that movie. When a line goes missing from a popular movie, this is where it gets interesting. So Marv nicknamed them the Wet Bandits, right? Him and Joe Pesci are out driving around trying to find Kevin. Here's Kevin, or Macaulay Culkin, hiding in the nativity scene. And in this scene, Marv asks, as he points to the church, "Hey, Harry, you want to go check inside that place?" I want you to comment what Joe Pesci replied. Make sure we're all on the same page here. Because most of us will remember him saying, "Nah, that place gives me the creeps." I bet that's what 99% of you just commented. Go watch that movie right now. That line is not in the movie. I will admit I haven't seen Home Alone in a long time. That one specific line, we all remember. So Gen X TikTok, have you seen Home Alone? Do you remember that line from the movie?
I'm so glad that as generations have progressed, we've just stopped ironing. We've all collectively decided that ironing is a waste of time. And I love that we're all together on that. Sometimes I'll text my mum in the evening and I'll be like, "Oh, what are you up to?" And she's like, "I'm just doing my ironing in front of the telly." And I'm like, "Debs, I have had the longest day of my life. I am shattered. The last thing I'd want to be doing right now is ironing. Are you mad? That woman even irons her bed sheets. I'm only going to crinkle them again when I get in them." Obviously, if it's a nice outfit, you got a job interview, you're wearing a shirt, whatever. Iron occasionally. I iron occasionally if I have to. But on a day-to-day basis...
I know you didn't expect this when you left this comment, but no, teeth aren't bone. When you figure out what teeth are, you're going to be like, what the? Doesn't really matter if it's a megalodon, spinosaurus, little pterosaur, cave bear, horse. All of those, including these right here, those are fish scales. They aren't bone. You think of the world through an evolutionary lens and about our ancient shared history on this planet, it gets really interesting. So teeth didn't always exist. Fish scales existed before teeth. Fish existed before mammals. Mammals came from an animal that was a fish. So we go back down that timeline. Bones are evolving. Different lineages are having bones their own different ways. Sharks take bones one way. Other fish take it a different way. Separately from that, fish scales are evolving too. Some are becoming better at protecting them. Some are making them able to swim faster. You get what I'm saying. There's variation, so things are evolving down their different paths. And in some population of fish, a fish population that is the ancestor of all animals today that have teeth, at least true teeth, unlike the Dunkleosteus, which it's those bone shearing things, which I talked about in that last video that this comment's coming from. But those true teeth, they come from fish scales. The best comparison we have for those ancient scales that would later go on to become teeth are the scales of sharks. That's not saying they're the same exact, it's just they're the least changed. But shark scales have been called dermal denticles for a long time because there have always been obvious connections to teeth and enamel with those scales. So in that fish population that all animals with teeth today can trace their ancestry back to, some of those scales in the mouth region were becoming more specialized to help them crunch, consume food. I don't necessarily know exactly how, just the evidence points that that is the interaction that led to the eventual rise of teeth. So this right here is a highly derived fish scale.
Have you ever noticed how owls have different eye colours? They either have yellow, orange, or dark brown eyes. Now this is all down to how much light that their eyes can process. Owls that have yellow eyes, like Winston the snowy owl here, can process a little bit more light, so they're great for hunting during the daytime. Or in the case of Arctic owls, like the snowy owls, in snowy environments where it's very bright. Now owls with orange eyes, like Bugs the long-eared owl here, are built for medium light levels, so great for hunting at dawn and dusk. And then you get owls with dark brown eyes, like the barn owl or the tawny owl. These help them to absorb the most amount of light, so they're great for hunting in nighttime. But there's more to owls' vision than just eye colour. They also have a nictating membrane, which is a thin and clear eyelid that helps wipe their eyes clean while they're open. And their top eyelids close when they blink, just like ours, but when they sleep, their bottom eyelid moves up instead. Their eyelids are also covered in feathers just to aid with their camouflage whilst they're sleeping.
Keep in mind, we're talking about a whole bird here, and birds are reptiles, so imagine if your bearded dragon could use his words.
I recently saw this video, and a lot of people in his comment section seemed genuinely surprised that birds are reptiles.
Allow me to shed some light on the subject.
I know it seems relatively confusing, but it's actually pretty straightforward. You may have heard by now that birds and dinosaurs are related. Not only are they related, but we've actually found out that birds themselves are dinosaurs. Not just descended and not just closely related, but in fact true dinosaurs themselves. Dinosaurs are part of a group known as Archosaurian reptiles alongside crocodilians and pterosaurs, which would then classify birds under Archosaurian reptiles as well. So, in short, yeah, birds are reptiles.
Great reminder that birds are reptiles.
My brain has a tough time accepting the fact that birds are reptiles. Crocodiles are more closely related to birds than lizards. Birds are dinosaurs, right? And dinosaurs are reptiles. So therefore, birds are reptiles. I know this logically, but it doesn't sit right with me. You know, something about it just feels so wrong.
Dinosaurs aren't reptiles, they're birds. So here's the really cool thing about that. Every single bird is a dinosaur, but not every single dinosaur is a bird. What I mean by that is that every single bird that you see today, from the hummingbird to the ostrich to that sparrow that's outside your window, those are all dinosaurs. Those are all within the Dinosauria clade. However, that does not mean that every single dinosaur is a bird. Birds are simply just their own little group of theropod dinosaurs. There are other groups of dinosaurs that exist, and that's where the other dinosaurs come in, known as the non-avian dinosaurs. That includes animals like T-Rex, Brachiosaurus, Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Ornithomimus, and so on and so forth. I think you get the point. All of those guys, those are not birds, but they are all still dinosaurs. These birds and these non-bird dinosaurs are all still dinosaurs. And Dinosauria is a clade of reptiles. More specifically, they are diapsids within the clade known as Archosauria. Archosauria is a clade that goes all the way back to around the early Triassic period. It included other extinct animals like the pterosaurs, but it also includes the crocodilians, like crocodiles and alligators. Of course, animals that we would all agree are reptiles today. Every single animal that exists within the Archosauria clade is a reptile, and that includes dinosaurs, and by extension, that includes birds. So, dinosaurs are reptiles. Birds are also reptiles. I do understand where all of this confusion comes from because most of this identification is based off of phylogenetics, which is the most recent way of identifying and classifying these different organisms. Phylogenetics simply just looks at ancestry, and it looks at the idea that you cannot evolve outside of a clade. And so because birds evolved within the clade of Archosauria, or more specifically Dinosauria, they are still dinosaurs and reptiles. And no matter how many changes they go through, they will still be a part of that clade. So basically, to wrap it all up, birds are dinosaurs and all dinosaurs are reptiles.
You want to see what a real mermaid looks like? Between 1957 and 1962, a very famous Mexican actor, Cantinflas, had mermaids at his house in the coast of Mexico, Acapulco. So this is just a bombshell because these documents have been released recently, a couple of days ago. A lot of people, including myself, we always thought that mermaids looked some type of way, like in the movies that we always watch in Hollywood and things like that. But that's not the case here. These mermaids actually look so bizarre, like very different from what we have always shown on TV. Now, these documents have been released by Hector Valencia, and for some reason, nobody can really get a hold of them. Now, these mermaids can breathe underwater and out of the water. And not only that, but these mermaids can actually go 7 days without eating anything. All of this is actually described on these documents, which is very, very shocking. Oh, and this is not all. It is described on those documents that this famous actor, Cantinflas, was actually having parties. Yeah, parties with these mermaids at his house, which is bizarre. I'm starting to believe that these mermaids have been here on this planet before us. What do you think about all of this? Do you believe these mermaids are actually some type of entities that came from the universe? Or maybe they were made here by some other type of extraterrestrial being, right? What do you think about all of this? This is insane.
Every now and again, someone's left you or abandoned you that you think life is terrible. Maybe it's just because the shepherd wants to pick you up.
Hello. Yo, my friend. What an interesting conclusion up to this point. You see, the last one reminds us of the love that the shepherd have for us all. Good vibes, so we are all children of God, equal, my friend, and uniquely made before God, my friend, and God really loves us all. From wherever you've been watching from, I hope that love of God reaches you, my friend. May good things come your way. And then at sometimes you feel like life is not going the way you would have wanted, don't worry, good vibes soul. God is in control. You see? Thanks for leaving your comments here and leaving your perspectives. That's what we really encourage. So that you may also get to understand things, but from your shoes. You see? Good vibes soul, lots of love. I hope you'll also share the videos with your friends and families and help us in uniting the whole world. And now, so that I can help you in adding strength to your soul as you help us in our mission, I will share with you some food here from the Book of Wisdom, the Constitution of Humans, or the Guide of Life. Psalm 20. May the Lord answer you when you are in distress. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you. May he send you help from the sanctuary and grant you support from Zion. May he remember all your sacrifices and accept your burnt offerings. May he give you the desires of your heart and make all your plans succeed. We will shout for joy when you are victorious, and we lift up our banners in the name of our God. May the Lord grant you all your requests. Wonderful. May that word be manifested in your life, good vibes soul. You see, let's talk with this wonderful creator that will do good things for you. Dear Lord Father, full of mercies and love, we thank you, Father, for this chance to be alive. We thank you for the words from the book of wisdom. Dear Lord, we come before you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Together with this viewer, Father, thank you for this point you've reached. Thank you for the blessings you've passed in their lives, Father, and the forgiveness of their sins. As we wrap up this video, Father, may you be with them in their lives, Father, and may they see your miracles. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. See you next time, child of God. Peace and love be with you.